The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal, but the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal. Thank you for joining us once again. I can't even remember what episode we're at anymore, which is exciting because that means that we're getting lots of them done. So thank you for continuing to listen. And as we debuted last week, we're going to start our shows off now with our Stump John segment featuring Darren Buss. If you listen to any of the live shows on Paranormal Buzz Radio, frequently you'll hear somebody say Darren has a question. Well, we thought since we're not live, we would still take advantage of Darren and his questions. We're putting John to the test. So let's get Darren on the phone.
Hello.
Hi.
What's happening?
So, let's do this.
All
Everybody's favorite part of the show. Let's stump John. Go ahead, sir.
Everybody picking on me.
Well, this is something that me and Adam were talking about earlier. And basically what it is, if there is room in the paranormal world for virtual reality.
How do you mean? I guess.
As far as like you, before you go to a location, you can view the location and everything else besides just before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And also using it with like an SLS camera and possibly doing it with the Estes method along with it.
Definitely. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could bring virtual reality into, an investigation. So, for example, you could use something like the Oculus, then use something like an Arduino chip attached to it with all kinds of sensors, and then you could pick up on anything from, an SLS camera ingrained into it. You could have EMF meter, on the display. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty easy. The hard part is finding a programmer that's going to stick with writing the program, which is what my problem is. So, in fact, the cool thing would be what you could do is, you could go live and have people, walking around the house with you live in virtual reality.
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
That is easy to do.
I mean, how would you feel about, like, do you think you could do like a solid investigation with it by itself without you being there?
No, without you being there, you mean like a standalone with no one present?
Kind of like that, yeah. Like, the only thing I have a problem with that would be the video matrixing with it, and then also the audio matrixing.
Well, I mean, you could do it. They've got things now. One of the reasons the Oculus took off was they were going to put things in like sports stadiums where you could sit, you could have 10,000 people sitting in the same seat in a sports stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could set something like that up and then maybe 3 different stations so they could move from station to station like they were going through the house and have all the equipment wired up to whatever that station is. Now, the only thing I will say is by doing that, my experience has been you get a lot more activity when you're actually physically interacting. in the room.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Just leaving a piece of equipment behind, honestly, you could do the same with a CCTV that's pointing at all the equipment. It wouldn't have the same feeling as virtual reality, but, you're doing the same thing. So, technically it's possible. Whether it give you any results, I don't know.
Yeah, but think about these commercially haunted locations and the money that they could be making by offering this experience to people.
Correct. And I was also saying, too, as far as, how many people want to go overseas and go to, Ireland and see these things? I mean, that would be huge if you could just sit there and do a virtual tour in your own home and,
Heck yeah.
That would be cool, but once again, for it to be, if you really want it to be a proper paranormal experience where things are happening and not just spooking yourself out, you'd need a team on site, and the virtual reality guy would just be like a camera guy wandering around with them. Like you experience things through ghost hunters through the camera. Well, you'd be doing the same thing, but with virtual reality as if you were actually in the room. Yeah.
I think that'd be
cool.
great to have a network of teams throughout the world, basically.
Yeah.
Where one person would be the virtual reality guy, and you could log in and pay $10.
The catacombs in
Paris. $10 to investigate with this team from...
and not only that, I'll be honest with you, what you could do is you could hire the guy and just tell him the whole time what to do. He'd be like a virtual body. You say, okay, what was it? Hey,
go left.
Francois, you lost the war. Do this. So, you could, you could say, what was that? Get out the EMF and check this out. And the guy'd have to do it, So, there's all kinds of ways you could do it, but.
I think it's a good project for you to try and do something like that.
Yes.
How do you feel about the Estes method?
It's hard. I like it, but it's hard. We've done it in, reading the spirit box real time is tough to do because it's coming at you so thick and fast. In some places, other places, like the place we went to, that was easy because we've been places where it only answers you when you ask a question. Mm-hmm. That's easy. But other places where you're getting words coming at you thick and fast, and then by the time you've made up your mind, was that the radio or not, you've had another 3 thrown at you, and you just end up, a lot of times you'll end up stuttering and stuff like that. The other thing I found, that the other side of the sword of that, being in the headphones myself, is you'll start picking out words that you think you've heard, and in your own mind you're stringing them together, so it kind of influences you as to what the next word you're listening for, if you see what I mean.
Right.
So, that's... It's.
Have you guys gone on an investigation with Raven Rose at all yet?
We have not. And, we keep talking about doing that, and we just our schedules haven't matched up yet. They live in Storm Lake, which is in kind of northwest Iowa, western Iowa anyway. Far northwest corner of the state is a place called Okoboji, and that is the site of the Spirit Lake Massacre, and there's a cabin there that kind of commemorates the massacre. And I have always, since I was a little girl, been just infatuated with this place, and I want to investigate it, and that's one place that we have talked about doing together. So I hope someday, it'll have to probably be mostly an outdoor investigation, but I do hope that someday we can get together and do something like that.
Yeah, you guys should get together with them because they do the Essence method a lot, and they do a really good job of that.
Yeah, and I know
something I think would benefit John from too, and kind of help him with the method and kind of getting the words out and something like that. So
yeah, and I know that I've talked to Roland a little bit about it at the Ames Expo actually, and we talked about, because Cynthia is sensitive, and how they're going to try to incorporate the Estes method into really testing her abilities. So, really interesting. John's rolling his eyes because he really.
I did not roll my eyes. You're making things up now. That's why you don't want it on Skype, so you can make things up. That's it.
So, do you have time for another question?
I've always got time for questions. As long as people have got time for the answers.
That might be true.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
Hashtag.
You owe John $1.
$1.
So, how do you feel about a priest going to a house and performing a exorcism on a house? Now, do you think that is an actual benefit to the house, or do you think it actually hurts it more?
That one is, because you said priest, that is wholly within a belief system. So, if the people, first off, if the priest thinks that it's warranted, and the people there are Catholic, and he does it, I think it's beneficial. Because, either what the priest and what they believe is real, and he's doing the real thing, or it's not real, but the placebo effect is going to make it real, if you see what I mean. So, I can't see that there's any harm in that whatsoever. I mean, I can't see the negative on there.
Because the thing that brings that up to question is the Hinsdale house. Back in the late 70s, they did an exorcism on a house, and supposedly it has failed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. And that was when Ed and Lorraine Warren wasn't part of that, and the house just absolutely shook like crazy. And then it never subsided with the paranormal activities that's going on, and in some people's minds, it actually think it made it worse.
Well, that would make me wonder then, because really an exorcism is only going to work if it's like an angel or a demon. I mean, that's what it's made to, I guess, combat. So if it was human activity then, or people, I guess, ghosts that had once been human, do you think that kind of leads credence then to the fact that these are probably once human folks at the Hinsdale house then? John's like, it's all in the belief system.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if
the other brother out to the woods and murdered him out there.
Oh.
So,
that's awful.
And have a lot of issues going on with the house with the family itself. So.
Does Daniel live there?
No, he just runs the house.
Okay.
The house has been around since the 1800s.
Interesting.
Or no, I'm sorry, 1700s.
I guess I knew less about it than I realized. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research. You haven't been out there then, have you, Darren?
No, I have not. No, that's a dream one to get out to.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I would love to get out there.
There's a lot of people that have been gone out there and just experienced so much activity, like non-stop stuff going in the house, out in the woods there. They got a lot of, like, a giving tree in a way.
Mm-hmm.
They experienced puckwudgies. Just a whole vast majority of stuff. That's the one where Nick Groff supposedly got kind of possessed in there from Paranormal Lockdown.
I'll have to find that episode.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. But that's why I brought up the exorcism during the house when a priest walks through, if it makes a difference or not. So.
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, that's one example of a failure. I mean, how many examples of it working are there? I guess. Even exorcisms of people doesn't always work. I mean, there's people that have been exorcised and then they end up dying, so, is it 100% going to cure it? No, not by the track record, but I can't see the harm in trying it.
Well, and people, I mean, Anna Eklund, who's the Erling, Iowa exorcism from the 20s, she went through one when she was in her 20s, and then several years later ended up having to go through another process, but the exorcism lasted over 4 months before she was finally cured. Well, cured. We'll use that for lack of a better word, I suppose. Yes, vacated. There we go. So, I wonder if it would take more than that. I mean, if you watched Demon Files on, what was that on?
That was on,
whatever.
Still running.
It's not. He only did 5 episodes, and I'm not sure if it's because they didn't have viewers or if Ralph Sarchie was just like, screw you, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, use the ex-cop, I believe, correct?
Yes, I love Ralph Sargent.
Wait a minute. Demon files. That means you like having sex with a demon, aren't they?
No, you perv.
It is. That's a normal thing. There's
my God.
necrophiles that have sex with the dead. Pedophiles have sex with children. Demon files must therefore have sex with demons.
Not a title.
Oh, right.
They're
Sorry.
two separate words.
I thought you knew someone that was a demon file. I'm like, what's your talking about?
Right,
That's a whole nother explanation for being possessed.
Look, yeah. I'm sorry, it sounds like you've got someone inside you already.
Oh my God. Well, one thing that we're going to start doing with the show is
cutting me out.
Maybe. We are going to start kind of doing case studies on famous hauntings. So I would like to look at the Hinsdale file. Right now we are all doing our research on a famous case from the 70s. I'm not going to let you know yet what it is, but I'd like to kind of do the Hinsdale house one of these times too. So
I think I kind of know what you're talking about.
very good. It's not Amityville, I will tell you that.
Okay, well, maybe, now you got me perplexed.
It's one that all too many people have forgotten about.
Not me.
Oh, the tables have turned. Joy. Joy, Red. Joy, joy.
All right, Darren. I am going to let you go, but we will talk to you again next week then.
Sounds good.
All right.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I have other ones for you.
Oh, no.
Perfect. Thanks, darling.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Darren is always good for some good questions. Now I'm excited for you guys to figure out the virtual reality thing.
Oh, that's a thing?
You're going to make it.
I mean, I seriously think we should. Absolutely.
Adam
I mean,
and Darren have been talking about this.
Well, yeah, because the one thing that we talked about, like he kind of alluded to a little bit, was the virtual reality Estes method.
Mm-hmm.
Using an SLS camera with only one person being able to see it with virtual reality glasses. No one else can see it. And being able to point in a particular direction if they see something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But I agree with you, having an EMF, and temperature and stuff that they can only see too, to tell a direction or something that something is.
I mean, it's doable, and anybody... If I can find a programmer that will actually get it done instead of saying they'll do it, and then 6 months later going, I haven't got to it yet.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody listening to this show knows how to program stuff,
yep,
get in touch with us.
Yeah,
we might have some ideas. We can work together.
I can lay out the project, and then, I know in my head how it will go together. I'm not that good at programming anymore. 20 years ago, maybe. Okay. On a Commodore 64. All right, maybe not quite that long ago, but no, it's doable. But my only thing is someone would have to be there. So let's say it took off and you had 1,000 people signed up. If you just put it on a station, I don't think you're going to get much going on. We found that, for example, the squirrel cage, when we did the test with the ghost feeder. When we were interacting, it was going off a lot more.
Yes.
When we were asking questions and talking. And then we left the camera running when we buggered off, and it just went off a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we came back, it started going off again. And it wasn't us setting it off because we were nowhere near it. So.
But I like the idea of, like you said, having one particular person on a team in Ireland who's willing to do it, for instance. And you could just be like, hey, go left, go right.
Why
I saw this.
Ireland?
I don't know.
The only thing I get from Ireland, go away, we are making bombs.
I don't know. It's just
cool haunted shit there.
They do.
Isn't the Ram's Head in Ireland?
Which one? There's lots of rams with lots of heads all over the world.
Oh my goodness. They even have some in Colorado.
Yeah. There's some in Los Angeles now.
Okay.
Where they used to be.
With no fans. Oh no, that's the Chargers.
No, the Rams are there too.
Yeah, but the Chargers, I was reading an article because my Steelers actually won a game after I had given up all hope for them. I was reading an article because the genius that is behind the music for the Chargers Stadium started playing Renegade, which is the Steelers song. So not only are the Chargers losing, and they're at home, but now their sound people are playing the Steelers' music.
Well, it's because the Steelers lose. They were going to match it.
No, we won.
Oh, you won.
And,
maybe it's a song.
Well, I was reading, though, apparently nobody goes to Chargers games anymore, and almost every home game feels like an away game for them. So it was a sea of black and gold for the Steelers-Chargers game. So, poor Chargers.
Welcome to Paranormal Football.
I know. Steve and Billy, they're the only fans left.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, Billy.
No.
Go Ravens.
Anywho, so we did an investigation. What was that now? 2 weeks ago?
The one in Tama?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
And we're going to go back. We had hoped to go back Monday. It's not going to work out, though. Anyway, we did an investigation at a home where the homeowners really don't buy too much into the paranormal except when pushed. And then they'll come up with some stories, but they're very reluctant to share them. And one of the stories was recently they're moving now. So one of the wife of the house was sitting in the living room and felt somebody tap her shoulder rather hard and enough that she couldn't deny that it had happened. And they've frequently talked about their bed shaking at night and...
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah. I don't think that's what's happening.
You don't know. You weren't there.
I do,
I hope.
actually. I know these two well enough that I can say with pretty much certainty that that's not what's happening. Anywho, and there's strange lights in the bedroom. So, that's what we kind of focused on, that area of the house.
Yes.
It was good though, right?
It was. And what's really, really weird is when we did, and we don't get this very often, so I like using the spirit box just to see what's going on. And if you use it enough, you kind of get a feel for it. I know it sounds like very psychic-ish, which I'm not, but I do get you get a feeling from what's coming through the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting nothing. I mean, and this is in the middle of Tama. We should be picking up stations. We weren't. And then the only time we pick things up is right after we'd ask a question. You get a little bit of chatter, and then it would stop. So we'd ask a question, we get chatter, it would stop. And, you know, when we went back and went through it, it's on the WTF website, well, on the YouTube channel. There were a couple of short clips from that, but they were actually kind of making sense, too. So...
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that we weren't picking up anything.
Nope.
I mean, no radio stations whatsoever. And let me tell you, as somebody who grew up in Tama, I didn't have CDs and tapes. I listened to the radio and made mixtapes off the radio. So there's definitely radio stations
good old
there.
mixtapes.
I think we got more activity than I thought we would.
As did I.
A lot more. We had the ghost feeder going off. We had your little bloopity
Oh, the
cheap cheap EMF ghost detector thing.
Yeah.
Jeff was super excited about that, though.
Well, because it was just so
random.
Out of nowhere. And I mean, it spiked really high and the lights flashed and I think it beeped and
it went beepity boop.
Yeah, it did. And it was...
But it was doing it at the time when stuff was going on, so, I like it. If it just goes off every now and then on its own, I don't pay much attention to it. We had the ghost feeder go off once. Yeah, actually, it was going off a lot.
The ghost feeder go off a lot.
At the beginning. And I'm always mistrusting of my own equipment when it goes off too much. But, that being said, I can't figure out why it did do it.
It was
going crazy
off
when you
pretty
first
constant.
booted it up.
I almost wonder if they were like, well, if he doesn't think this thing works, then I'm done with it, because it wasn't nearly as frequent after you got done killing yourself trying to figure out why it was going off.
Yeah, I know. And never did, because there was nothing wrong with it. So...
Oh, those are brand new batteries. Oh, maybe I pinched the cord.
Darn you, goats, stop setting it off!
I've disproved myself 14 times in 5 minutes. I got nothing.
Yep.
Well, I can
try for a 15th.
The homeowner is very excited, and she didn't think we were going to come back with anything, so she's thrilled and excited for us to keep seeing Unfortunately, we only have access to the house for about another month, but
Yeah, I definitely want to go back, see if we can reproduce results.
for sure,
So,
for sure.
you know.
And then we have an event coming up this weekend. We'll be in Cloutier
Yes.
at a church and rectory. Now, we have investigated the property already. We're the only ones, to my knowledge, that have investigated. We didn't get a ton in the church itself. Very little, actually. But in the rectory, it was kind of a different story. I'm not really sure what's going on there yet. Lots of chatter on the ghost box. A little aggressive. Brian, who we've talked about a few times.
Gastric EVP.
Right. was not very certain that what was in the rectory was very nice. Not that anybody's going to get possessed walking in there or anything like that, but
Yeah,
but he also felt like maybe it was something that somebody had brought there, and that does not honestly surprise me too much either.
No, not at all. I mean, we don't know this for sure. They did have a break-in, a few months prior.
Somebody broke in and brought a demon.
Well,
He say it was a demon.
He
Well,
did,
all right.
yeah.
Broke in and brought a bad
A
end.
crabby
I don't want
asshole.
it anymore. How am I going to get rid of it?
Right.
I'll break
Honestly,
in and leave
I
it somewhere.
think, and I agree with Brian, he was concerned that friends of the building's owner may have wanted it to be haunted enough that they kind of willed something there.
I could see that being a possibility. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll find out, though.
Yeah.
And I want to do some experiments because I want to, having been working with John over the past few months, it's changed the way we kind of do things. So I want to share that with the people we're going to have 40 people that we've got to show this building to. So,
41.
41.
Yeah, 40. I don't know why the random one, but
Okay.
It's the one someone's bringing with.
Yes.
evidently, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I want them to think about doing things more than just what they're seeing on TV. So that's why I'm excited John's joining us. We can talk about the Nom Nom. But Chandrell, who's a member of C Paranormal, isn't able to come. So I talked to her today, and we're going to try a remote Estes experiment at some point. I haven't got the logistics all the way down. But basically what I want to be able to do is have somebody at the location asking questions and Chandrell on a ghost box at her location and see if she's able to get answers from where we're at.
It could be interesting. And we've talked a few times about doing I don't know what that's technically called, but where you have one team at one location and one team at another location, and
this is the closest
and see if we could get them to, hey, can you go, poke so and so in the leg or whatever, and see what happens.
Yeah,
could be interesting. Could be an interesting experiment. See what kind of data we get. I wish Chandrell had a ghost feeder at her place. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to will something to go to her house, but
well,
yeah, maybe I kind of do.
She's already got access.
Yeah, you do.
I
You're
mean,
not
it
going to
would-
get any data if you don't.
Well, I know, but I mean, it would be kind of funny. But she does have a little one, and I'd hate to see her little one get
Well,
scared.
she thinks she's got a little kid
Yeah.
ghost at her house too.
Yeah.
So.
Why is it about children ghosts?
I don't know.
Well, she only thinks that because she hasn't had any activity except playing with the balloon and playing with her kids' toys. And that's the only, interaction that she's really getting with
I
it.
mean, in general, though. Don't you think there is a large I can't even say it. Proliferation. There we go.
Proliferation.
Yes.
I don't even know what that word means.
All right.
So,
that was wasted her effort then, really, wasn't it? Well, a large smattering of child ghosts.
There you go.
As far as, if you took away child ghosts and bad ghosts that do bad things and scratch and hiss, how many ghosts would you have left to go investigate?
2.
That was a really firm answer.
Yeah.
I'm liking that. You've done your homework.
Yep. You'd have Casper.
Well, but that kind of brings us into...
Casper was the janitor anyway. He would have got away with it too if it weren't for the pesky kids.
I love Scooby-Doo.
Scooby snacks.
Reggie.
We were going to talk about, so on Monday, and I will just say, Adam and John are sitting in chairs that my grandparents had from like their wedding anniversary, so they're old as all get out and they squeak. So if
That's
you
all right.
hear
I'm old as all get out and I
squeaking,
squeak too.
it's the chairs creaking. So
Nah, it's just my knees. It's fun.
Right. On Monday, we went to I don't know, what would you call it, the first part? A presentation.
Yeah, I would say that was just kind of a presentation, the first hour.
Yep.
20 minutes.
Presentation, usually it's the anecdotes and the questions.
Well, I wanted to kind of talk about some of that too. And I was just curious on your opinion about the whole thing in general. Obviously, it was presented by two friends of ours. We love both of them, and they did a good job. I was just curious the topics and the questions that people were asking. And let me tell you, there are just some people who come up with the zaniest questions.
Oh.
One of which was, do ghosts see in black and white or in color? What causes somebody to even question that? God bless her. I don't know. That's got to be like a super creative mind, because I don't know where else that question like that comes from.
And I got to be honest, I don't even know how you answer that question.
Well, I mean, it's a good question, but it should have gone further, because my first question was, ghosts don't have eyeballs, how do they see at all? Is the first question. It should be. And then, okay, if they do see, then you can start saying, is it ultraviolet? Do they see energy? Colors is pretty, for me, anyway, is like quite a way down the line. Can they distinguish colors? It's like they haven't got eyeballs. How do they see? They haven't got lungs or anything. How do they make EVPs?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the base questions that I go for.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking at something. So, which is why I'm at peace with the spirit box. If they're made of energy, radio's energy, okay, you can do that. EVPs, we've caught quite a few. To me, I'm like, how do they do EVPs?
Mm-hmm.
And I've come up with the same answer is, they don't do sound. They do the electronics.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same thing. You just, instead of doing it through a radio, you're doing it through the coil what is the microphone that's picking up the sounds.
Correct.
How do you explain disembodied voices?
Well, I don't yet.
Okay.
I don't try to. I mean, I could throw together, something, but I got no data to prove it, and honestly, I probably won't believe it myself. I mean, I could say, okay, this is how it could happen, but
But you've heard disembodied voices.
Yeah, that's what got me into the whole bloody thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you heard the kids.
Yeah,
the kids laughing at Edinburgh, right?
Yes, they were laughing at me, going, "Ha we're going to screw him up for the rest of his free time now. He's going to hear this, and he's not going to stop ghost hunting. That's every weekend for him gone."
Yes,
that is how that goes. Actually,
I mean, I got to be honest. I don't even think I have a theory on how disembodied voices work. I mean, EVPs, I kind of have a theory. Like, I feel maybe they could do this, but
it's electronic.
The disembodied voices, them moving things.
But here's the thing. Hashtag. I was trying not to do it this week.
Too bad.
Is they are very much less frequent than EVPs, spirit box, and the same as visual signings. Very less frequent. So I'm guessing it's an amount of energy they have to put out, is my guess. Mm-hmm. If this is all a thing, that will be my guess. Is and poltergeists are probably the least. I mean, how many times you go there was, it hardly ever happens, if ever. So actual physical electronics, if you think about it, should be easier to influence than actual things, including air, which makes vibrations to make sounds. Mm-hmm. So, physical, but electronic manipulation, I think, is easier. That's why we have more EVPs, the spirit box, that kind of thing. So, that's my take on it. Now, as far as what color they see, how do they even see? I haven't even got to that part yet,
Right.
you know. So.
Were you glad you went, though? Were you glad that you went?
Oh, yeah. I'm always, I mean, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. I'm open-minded enough to sit, listen, look.
You were very stoic, because there were a few times that I looked over at you for a reaction, and there was none.
No, I mean, people were there, they paid money, and I like Kelly, so I'm not going to go,
sure.
I'm not going to go Harry Price on her and throw a grenade into the room,
yeah.
you know. So, you know, it doesn't matter what I think, you know, I enjoyed it, and, you know, I learned a lot.
Well, and part of what makes She great, as well as just that group in general, is that it becomes a discussion. And, you know, Kelly has her truth, Chris has his truth, we have our truths, and they don't take offense to you offering an alternative. So that's why I like that.
Yeah, no, but I'm not going to offer an alternative because...
Well, that maybe wasn't the place for in-depth conversation.
I do. I think it's great when you can get groups of people with maybe different theories and different philosophies, but you can all sit down and have a conversation about it, and nobody's going to get butthurt.
No.
You know, it's unlike Facebook. Put it that way.
What'd you think about the difference between ghosts and spirits? That's one of the times I looked over at you for reaction.
To me, that's just pedantic. To me, I'll be honest with you. That's people trying to put more labels on to make it more real. And ghosts and spirits, because my Harry Price moment came and went, but I was going to start saying, well, what's an apparition? Wait to see what the answer was, and when they were done with that, what's a spectre? When they were done with that, just think of what's a revenant? I mean, there are so many words to, you know, it's just pedantics, I think. And, you know, and obviously they're drawing a line between the difference between a time loop and you know, but then they, you know, putting those words on it for them helps them. I don't think it helps.
And they aren't the community. They aren't the only one.
But I don't think that helps the community
though.
Because what they should say is it's an intelligent haunting. It's a residual haunting. That's fine. But when you start using things like, well, one's a ghost and one's a spirit, because then someone like me's going to come along and say, what's a revenant? What's an apparition?
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden you'll see them scramble trying to. So I don't think it's healthy to use those words. Those words all mean the same thing. Ghost, spirit, apparition. They do. Yep. It's a ghost. It's a haunting. Now, if you want to say it's an intelligent haunting, I'm fine with that. If you want to say, you know, I just try and ground it again, because most people I deal with aren't in this community, which is what makes me a little bit oblique to some of the people that listen, you know, because a lot of people, they all believe in that and talk to people and they're preaching to the choir. And then I come in and say, no, wait a minute, you know, because you do have to deal with people that don't believe. Yeah. So the more rational you can try and make it and stop trying to fill in the gaps with just stuff, because it's going to get picked apart.
For sure.
So.
I thought they were.
I brought it all down there, haven't I?
No, I mean you're just 100%. I mean you're right. It's just keep it more general. Don't try to define it so
because that makes it
closely.
a pseudoscience. They're trying to sound like scientists or experts, or I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm not having to go at them. God forbid. But
I don't think they would even take it that
way. But you know, for someone who's skeptical, that's how it comes across. You know, oh, what do you mean? You know, so stop doing that. You know, they're all the same thing, but there are such things as intelligent hauntings and some that are just, you know, historic hauntings or whatever you want to call them. You know, don't try and make up, you know, you're turning it more and more into a pseudoscience thing.
Yeah. I did think, and again, the reason I like Kelly and Chris both is they're very down to earth, and they weren't trying to make it, what I'm looking for. I don't know. Sometimes when you listen to some people, they're so far-fetched about the way that they view the paranormal, and they just try to make it seem something that it's not. And these two are just very grounded to me. Obviously, they know what they believe. Chris, he's bringing some science into what he's doing. Maybe not as to the extent you are, but he's at least trying.
No, I mean, each to their own. I mean,
yeah.
You know.
I love that he shared an anecdote. So there's a place in Iowa, McGregor, it's called Spook Cave. And it's a cave that you can take a little boat ride through. And he has brilliantly talked the owners into allowing paranormal investigations there. Now that they've only allowed 3 and they're guided by Chris. But he was talking about a woman that was on the tour recently with him, and she got real excited because her K2 meter was lighting up like crazy in this one spot, and he kept moving the boat back to that one spot and trying to make her realize that there was a light above and that was the cause of the K2 going off. So I appreciate that he didn't just run with it, because I think we've talked about before, there's too many times where people will try to make the experience something it's not and run with that instead of trying to educate her. So I appreciate what he does and what actually both of them do. And speaking of Kelly, John's going to be on her podcast tonight.
I am. I'll be live too. So, haha. Who knows what will happen?
Do you know what you're talking about?
I have no idea. I think my book.
Okay, good.
But I don't know if I can talk that long about my book. But we'll see.
I think you can.
Have you met yourself?
Right.
Only in the mirror.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should stand in the mirror sometime and just talk to yourself.
Hello, my name's John. I wrote a little book. And,
I think you'll be
I'm
all
not
right.
going to shut up about it.
No, we're excited, and I was really excited to hear that you've sold quite a few copies of the book already. I mean, you're not a New York bestseller yet, but
It was never about the sales.
we're on our way. I
It was
know.
about it's one of those things. I've always wanted to write a book, and then I'm crap at dialogue. I've tried writing a book a couple of times that was fiction. My dialogue is so awful. It's like, hello, my name's Bill. Hello, Bill. What are you up to today? So, and this happened by this one happened by accident. I just started writing between, guidelines for the group and this and that, and it just kept going. And I was like, well, I'll run with it. And it turned out to be a book, and I've had good reviews on it. So,
But it's about sharing your ideas.
yeah, I just basically, bring it down. Don't go for everything out there. There's nothing wrong with being a paranormal investigator or a ghost hunter, but you've got to kind of bring it down and not jump straight out into the stratosphere without knowing why.
Yeah.
At least have an idea of why you believe in something. I guess that's what the book's about.
I like it. And how's the second book coming?
I'm still doing the research, so.
Well, and the seance that you went to was
it was part of that
part
research.
of your research.
I mean, the new book's just going to be, because I'm objective, it struck me doing this and trying to bring it down to being objective, dealing with so many other people. They've all got their own narrative of what they think's going on. Mm-hmm. From shadow people to going into the light, crossing over, and then Kelly said, well, I don't believe in crossing over. So everyone's got their own narrative.
I was really happy, actually, that she said
that. Yeah, I am too. But the thing being is, this book now, I'm going to be like, okay, I just want to kind of try and get all the narratives that people believe, and then bring them down to, what the actual core belief is and how much. Because it struck me when we go places, how much of a narrative gets wrapped around the place you go to. When if you take it back 10 years or 20 years when that place started operating, the story was very small. Mm-hmm. And then the story gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and, it grows itself. And I think it's the same with a lot of, from shadow people to, whatever, So, in fact, part of my research is I read an older book on near-death experiences. Mm. And the near-death experiences are nothing like what people describe as near-death experiences now. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. There was a black vortex, stuff like that. So,
interesting. So where do you think that light comes from?
Well, it's, add in things like go into the light. Now you've got a tunnel, go into the light. Now there's a light at the end. There was very rarely a light at the end. In fact, the interesting thing is, even back then, they all described a tunnel or described it as a black vortex. So the tunnel's kind of always been there. The light is a new thing. So I just find that interesting how narratives of the paranormal, it doesn't disprove them,
Right.
but I'd like to see how they change and then try and get down to, okay, which part has always been,
Mm-hmm.
if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, that one's going to take a bit longer to write.
So, was the seance what you guys expected it to be?
Yes, exactly how I expected.
Yes, I would agree with him.
I do think that there were probably people a little disappointed that we only really talked to the ghost of the Granger house. I thought it was kind of interesting. I am trying to, with the information that we received, so Kelly made contact with Dora, who's the matriarch of the house, and gave us some personal information, and then made contact with, we knew there was a little girl in the house that didn't belong there. We had actually had a couple people offer that. Kelly let us know her name is Abby, and interestingly enough, WTF, you guys have gotten Abby as a name.
I think so.
Jeff said you have.
Yeah, I meant to go back and check before this podcast. I just hadn't had time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real life gets in the way.
Yes, it always does.
Until I sell 1 million books, so I can do this professionally, and then I'll have it
There we go.
ready.
There you go. And we're gonna be on the ride. with you.
Hey, you're welcome.
You just gotta support me.
Hey, you know what? I'll support you. Just buy 1 million books. You can retire.
No.
No.
But I am going back through, so Earl, who is the father of the Granger family, kept a diary. So I'm going back through that to see if I can find any record of Abby. I'll probably try to go back through maybe some Marion newspapers, although the information we have is pretty limited. I don't have a last name, for example, and we're only guessing age.
Nothing.
You're about to hurt yourself.
I know.
Did you swallow your tongue?
Yes.
Okay.
The other information we got was a gentleman who said his name was John and provided a story of having hit somebody in the carriage house, I guess, of the property. And
I thought you were going to say gonads then.
no.
The gonads.
Have you ever heard me use that word?
No.
Okay.
Just filling in the blanks in my own head.
And you blame me for taking this show down.
Gonads is not bringing anything down. Gonads is quite okay. I could have said a different word. Ah! Scared you, didn't it?
He apparently was quickly shooed away from the house and not invited back. So, again, I'm going through Earl's diary to see if I can find a record of.
One thing I will say that I do find strange. So, John Transient, can't find him. However, the man he hit, we didn't get a name for. That I find
I
strange.
find that
You wanted more details.
yes.
I did, of course. Of course you do.
Well,
I mean,
and
if I was psychic, I would provide details so people could follow it up. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's hard to follow those stories up.
It is.
I'd like to see where you could follow it.
now, if we could find a story in Earl's diary of a man hitting another man with a shovel, she did say it was with a shovel.
No,
No.
the man came at him with a
Okay,
shovel. He
I
hit
correct
his hand.
myself. Yes,
Yep.
the man came at him with a shovel. He punched him.
Yep.
If we could find a story in Earl's diary,
And here's the thing.
it would be interesting.
The seance, it said that he was never the same again. They wanted to help him, but the family didn't want their help. They stayed close to the family after.
Right.
So, I would have liked the family's name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, it's not a lot to ask for. Or am I being too
No,
skeptic? now?
I agree.
So-
and if it had been a ghost box session, I would have been left feeling the same
And
way.
if-
So, yes.
And if, and hopefully that will, something like that where they felt bad enough where they needed to reach out and that will be in the diary.
No,
I would hope.
I would believe it would be. I mean, his diaries are pretty. I mean,
Talks about toothaches.
Well, yeah,
So-
he does get into some some detail about I went here today, I talked to this person today.
But he talks about what he's doing. I am just starting the 1892 diary right now, and he's got a worker that works out at his farm that he just refers to as Clemens. Clemens has worked with him for a while, it sounds like, but Earl is not really very impressed with Clemens' work, but he, for whatever reason, did not want to fire him, so just keeps him home.
Used to be better before he got punched in the head.
Right?
Well, so maybe there's more to the story.
But so far, no John or Abby. But we'll see what happens. And perhaps we won't find them, and then it'll just be
the great mystery.
Up for each person to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
As it is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you found them, some people are never going to believe in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I do think, though, that people were kind of wishing that she would have been contacting loved ones.
Well,
because that's what I had expected, although it seems much more obvious to me that it would be the ghost of the Granger house that she'd be talking to.
And in defense, I mean, you can't say it's the people that come through. I'd make a good psychic.
Well, and then Dory, who is Jeff's daughter, appeared to be having a reaction to the goings-on as well. She apparently is an empath.
As what they tell me.
Okay. She ended up having to excuse herself because it was getting a little too intense for her, so perhaps...
Although I did hear the toilet flush about. No, I'm just kidding.
How old is Dory?
She just finished college, so that's...
she did?
Yeah, what's that, 22?
Mm-hmm.
Right
roughly, probably.
I didn't realize she was that old.
No, she doesn't look that old. Then again, I don't look like I'm 40, so just throwing that out there.
I don't look like I'm 70.
No, not at all.
Getting closer.
You don't look a day over 65.
God bless you. You're just sweet talking me now. Where's my flowers?
Next week.
You done, or?
Edit point.
Probably not.
Man, I hate it when I have to leave.
Oh, sigh.
So are you attending the next seance then too, or no?
I mean, I've seen enough. It was what I expected. And I'm guessing the next one will be what I expect too. So, I mean, once again, not knocking it, but I've seen it, done it, and I don't think the next one's going to be any different.
I did ask Kelly if she would do more of a gallery reading for the Granger house sometime, maybe November, December, so.
I'd go to that.
Maybe we'll have another.
Because that'll be different.
Yeah. I know people are very interested in that kind of thing, as am I. And, anytime you've got an opportunity to potentially hear from a loved one, it's exciting, but it can also be easily taken advantage of.
Got my granddad's name yet, Bo, have they?
Nope, we have not.
No.
Not even a guess yet.
Nope.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You gotta have a litmus test.
We'll see.
Indeedy.
What if I come up with it?
Oh, then you'll be psychic. And I shall pimp you out to everywhere.
Pimp me
at $100 a reading for 15 minutes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's make some money.
Technicians assist.
Oh dear.
I just finished Chris Moon's book.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, actually I did. I gouged my eyes out.
I was gonna ask, how do you still see?
You know what? I wish I took drugs. I'm not that kind of chap, but I can see how people would be now after reading that book, going, this is all I need to get through it.
Yep.
Give me some heroin.
I was going to say, some heroin.
You were scrying with heroin, so I understand that. Any changes of opinion?
I was?
No, John said episodes ago that he scries with heroin.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we do.
Must be good stuff.
I don't know. I never remember it. I just wake up in a garbage can in the alleyway.
Any changes of opinion, surprises? After
on Chris Moon?
Yeah.
Yeah. My opinion went even further down, even though I didn't think it could.
It did. How do you feel about the Greys? The fact that Chris is talking to aliens?
Why not? If you're going to go that far, you might as well just go all the way. He's talking to famous people and all the dead, like Edison and people like that, helping him build boxes and, come on, really. If you're going to do it, do it.
If he's talking to aliens and stuff, does he talk to Sasquatch too?
I'd be surprised.
I'm just curious.
Like, book, but
I think I want to ask him.
It's
Lorraine Warren did.
Yeah.
She talked to really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's all I'm going to say about that. Huh. That's all I got.
It's the theory of it. Here's the problem I have with, and the same with Hellier. I had a problem with that. Is that they're trying to now combine all of the paranormal circuit into one. And the only reason they do that, in my view, is their audience is bigger. Now you get the Ancient Aliens people. Well, that's a huge show.
Yeah.
Now, if you can drag those guys into what you're doing, and then now you've got Hunting Sasquatch, that's a huge show.
Yeah.
Drag those people in, all of a sudden, instead of just the ghost people, now you're getting the, the Sasquatch people, and you get the alien people, you get all those people on board. You've tripled your audience. And you use very fuzzy logic to do it. Doesn't matter, because those subjects are, in the main, a lot of times, fuzzy logic to begin with.
Well, exactly.
So,
you're...
just join up the fuzzy logic dots and you've tripled your audience.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna at least hook.
When did I ever become so cynical?
I don't know. Last week. It was last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was fine with it last week, remember?
Yeah. Last week everything was just peachy.
Oh, man,
this week it all sucked.
I actually enjoyed Hellier last week. What have you done?
I don't know. It was must have been the heroin.
Yeah, it was that particularly bad garbage can I woke up in with Bubba.
Oh, you threw in Bubba in there. Oh my. Yeah.
So, Adrian Lee, I see, has a new book out. I was just trying to find the title of it.
Alien, Sasquatch, and Me.
Well, that's essentially what it is.
Or Me and All the Women I Know.
It's called Ghosts and UFOs, Connecting Paranormal Phenomena Through Quantum Physics.
Yeah. So...
I'm going to read it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're sorry I wanted to read it?
No, I'm sorry I butted in there.
The book description says, Are ghosts and UFOs the same? This revealing book contains full explanations of how ghosts and UFOs identically move, communicate, use energy, are physical and non-physical, and intertwine themselves with the history of humanity. Read never before published eyewitness accounts, recently unclassified government documents, and first-hand personal experiences of ghosts and hauntings and UFO encounters. Adrian Lee has brought the last two great unknown phenomena in the canon of mankind together with new and groundbreaking theories in quantum physics. Ever since we've known him, he always said that he was involved with MUFON. Now, I don't know to what extent. I know Lorna, who runs the Christie House in Long Prairie, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. She's a wonderful woman. She's really active with MUFON, and she wrote the introduction to his book.
I think he's just transitioning to another group of folks.
Oh,
that's just me.
I say, it's an audience grab, because the idea that UFOs are interdimensional is, most UFO people, the only reason they're interdimensional is because they have to travel faster than light. Therefore, they either warp space around their ship or they go through wormholes that they generate. That is pure science. That's normal UFO law. Now, when you get people mixing ghosts with UFOs and saying, oh, they're the same thing and they all do the same thing, that is such a reach. And to me, that's just market share grab, and once again, I think it harms the paranormal community in that someone has got so jaded in that they're like, well, they're gullible enough for the last crap that I wrote. these guys are obviously gullible. They believe in aliens. Let's do that too. Honestly, that's what it sounds like to me. You know, it's basically an author calling you gullible in that these two things that are not really related at all, you know, now all of a sudden I'm going to join them together for you because, hey, you can't prove me wrong anyway. And you believed everything else I just wrote, which I probably don't believe in. So there you go. Boom. You know, I find it honestly just reprehensible. New word of the day.
There you go. That's a big word.
Yeah, I wish I knew what it meant.
I know.
Hopefully it fits in that sentence.
What was the other one? I didn't know what it meant that you couldn't say anyways.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it again if I didn't say it first time.
Started with a P, I think.
Did it?
Yeah.
Plethora.
Yeah.
Plethora. There we go. I'll
That
put my
wasn't
teeth
the
in.
word.
That wasn't the word.
No, I did. I said plethora.
No,
No.
Wasn't it?
I don't remember what it was
I-
anymore, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
I do think this is the new big thing. I think shadow people are slowly subsiding, and now we're going to ghosts and UFOs. Now, I have said before that
Shadow people are aliens.
I think ghosts and Bigfoot are the same. Because that's why we don't have any more definitive proof on Bigfoot, but we have just as many sightings as we do ghosts.
Oh, which then, by that logic, you can then include UFOs and aliens. That's the problem.
I'm not.
No, you're not. But
you're right.
That logic is
I
exactly
understand.
the same.
You're right. I could, but I don't think that's the same thing.
But you're using that logic is the problem.
Correct.
Just saying. Not saying you're wrong. Who am I to say anybody's
Right, because
wrong?
you can't prove it either.
No. But what I can do is I can use a logical argument,
Right.
which is
And
all I got to use at the moment.
I think solely the only reason why we, and I mean me and Sarah, think that Bigfoot and ghosts might be kind of the same thing is because of Rosemary Ellen Guiley's talking about Bigfoot being an interdimensional being. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
It does, but it's a statement without proof.
Well, no, you're right. It without concrete, solid scientific proof, yes. But based on experience and of her solely and her research, the interaction that you get between the two things is similar. So, being they're similar, you can surmise a theory that they could be the same thing.
But why are they similar? I don't get it.
Because you only see Bigfoot in little snippets. There's no, honestly, most pictures and crap that's out there is honestly probably fake. And people talk about, they see him and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same thing with ghosts and full-bodied apparitions.
And the same with UFOs. It is.
Yeah, to a point.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know, I'm just telling you. To a point.
Yeah.
To a point.
And I don't believe in a unifying theory of the paranormal because I don't believe everything that everybody believes in the paranormal is true. One of them's got to fall down. So either ghosts aren't real, or UFOs aren't real, or Bigfoot isn't real. The chances of all three of them being real. Really think about it. I mean, they're already paranormal because the odds against them existing are pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to take all those low odds and go, hey, guess what? All of them came up sixes. Then you're really pushing the odds.
Mm-hmm.
So the unifying, and not only do they all exist, but hey, they're all the same thing. Now you're really pushing it again. And every time somebody does that, and it's a thing of our age where, and you see it in TV shows or advertising, the new improved wash powder. What? So you were selling me shit before. Is that what it is? You always have to keep pushing the envelope. And the problem with the paranormal is it's already on shaky ground as far as odds go. And then you just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until the odds, for me personally, it's a fun story and it's a fun thing. But to say that it's really real, I have to draw back from that and go, oh, wait a minute, we haven't even proved one of these yet.
Well, I don't disagree with
Let
you.
alone, and it's fine.
I'm not going to go out in the forest. I'm not going to go out in the forest, run around and search for Sasquatch.
Why not? That'd be fun too.
No.
Shit, we do it for ghosts.
I know, but what if I ran into a snake?
Jesus.
Then I'd have to run the other way. I'd never find Sasquatch because I'd see a snake and I'd be scared and I'd run away.
I don't know, you might run into him running away from it.
Maybe Sasquatch is afraid of snakes too.
I just have a problem with people, especially that are on the circuit and that's how they make their money. You know that at some point, because they do it for a living, they're trying to get more money or at least make up for falling sales somewhere else. But they sell it as, this is real research and this is real. And I have a problem with that. I don't care what people believe.
The bonus is I'm not making shit by doing any of this.
No,
not a damn dime.
So, it's personally, that's where I have a problem is I look at the odds of it and as far as I'm concerned, I'm already pushing my luck ghost hunting and, just from my own experiences. Now, when we were at Buxton, we saw that thing whizzing by that I can't explain it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to drop everything and go looking for UFOs or say they're the same thing as the thing I'm looking for now.
Right. And that's...
I can concentrate on one thing.
Right.
And try and get something out of it.
In my theory of things being similar and that they could be related,
mm-hmm.
I'm still not going to go and search for Bigfoot.
No.
I'm still going to continue to search for ghosts.
Yeah. And,
if I find one and sit down and have a conversation with him and prove ghosts to be 100% real and everybody in the scientific world is like, you are amazing, you proved it, then I'll move on to something else. But I don't see that happening.
You saying that has just underscored my problem I have with psychics. If you could sit down and talk to them, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, right.
Because I'm psychic.
You were priming me, you psychic.
Yes.
We'd all love to sit down and,
mm-hmm.
There's those people in history I'd like to sit down to and say, why did you do that? That was stupid.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sarah's being very quiet.
She is.
I am listening to you and I agree. I mean, I don't care enough to go figure it out either. So.
Maybe our listeners don't care enough to listen to this either.
Well, God bless our listeners because
absolutely.
Because you're listening, but also
you two are great.
We got 3 now. We got 3.
Oh, that's
apparently
right.
We went up.
I absolutely suck at sound and figuring out how to make these sound good. And the fact that people have stuck with me through all of our, we started with little dog toenails clicking on the floor, and we've had hissing, and we had can't hear the boys talking because they're 5 miles from their microphones.
Or one of them's off.
Or Adam did 2 episodes with his microphone off. Which we're working on rectifying, so thank you for
rectifying.
Your patience.
That's a big word. Yeah.
It's not.
We'll call this
rectal.
Oh my God. Don't you ever blame me for taking it down again.
What? What are you talking about? Jeez.
Seriously.
Sigh.
Aren't you all glad now that you can hear us?
No. Everybody's like, damn it, Adam, turn your damn microphone back off.
Probably.
Who said rectal on the internet? I'm going to write to the BBC and complain.
Do you mean the BBB?
No, the BBC.
Okay.
Everybody writes to the BBC.
We do need some feedback. Some feedback, some reviews.
Listen, I cannot get opinions from anybody.
I know, right? Like, we really do. Like, we need to push. We need some feedback. We need some...
You know what you do?
Hey, we'd like you guys to talk about this.
We will.
Yeah.
Let's do a live show.
I know. We will.
If nobody shows up, then we know why we're not getting any feedback.
Right. Nobody cares.
Although the nice thing about us not being live too, I think, is that if you don't listen while it's live, you can still follow the show. So you can listen to it whenever you want.
See, I can't follow them when they're live. I know that. And I'm in it.
That's true.
Well, I also neglected to do a picture of the week.
We got to make the show shorter.
So,
We can do a picture of the week on the Facebook.
wait, yeah, we'll find something.
The Facebook. Did you just say it like that? The Facebook.
To sit on my Facebook.
It's like going,
Oh my god!
It's like going to the Walmart.
Well, people say, we are the police. We are the fire brigade. It is the Facebook. How many Facebooks are there?
Just one.
Yeah, the Facebook.
Thank God there's only one.
The moon. Although there's more than one moon, apparently. Hey,
Okay, that's
let's not
another
go that way.
episode.
Yeah.
That's another episode. Start talking about the moon.
But I'm kind of excited for, I want to start doing kind of case studies. And so, like I mentioned when we were on with Darren, the three of us are researching a story right now that was really big, and it's shocking to me how few people know about the story any longer, especially for how huge it was when it first came out. So,
and it's not Amityville.
it's not Amityville. But we'll talk about Amityville someday too, but
It's not the Blair Witch.
it's not. It happened in the 70s. I think it's really interesting, and it's got a lot of different layers to it.
Like
So.
puff pastry.
There you go.
Or an onion.
It's a puff pastry.
It's an onion
of
wrapped
a
in puff
case.
pastry.
Ew.
Wrapped in layer cake.
No.
With
I'm
an
not,
enigma.
I'm not eating
Oh
that.
my
Even if you cook it, I'm not eating it.
But why would I don't like onions.
Well, just saying.
Ooh, I do.
Yeah.
My grandpa used to eat them like apples.
Really?
Hmm.
No. They're the devil's toenails.
Oh my god, they are not.
They're not that bad. I'm not going to eat one like an apple.
They are the toenails of Satan, and I definitely shall not be eating any.
Well, you did suck on the devil's toe.
I did.
Yeah.
God bless. Anybody listen to this, go and look for it. It's called The Toe of Satan. I know what it is. It's a lollipop. And it's really
From hell.
harmless. Really harmless.
I have-
Buy one and give them to your children.
I have one for each of my oldest children. My son is in the Army, and I was going to take him when he graduated from basic training, but my daughter is pregnant, and we figured that we didn't want the baby coming out too early, so.
Yeah. And we didn't want the baby born in Oklahoma. Because let me tell everybody. His drill sergeant said, Oklahoma only exists because God did not have an eraser. And I think that's true. So anybody who is in Oklahoma is listening to this, I'm sorry. Your state sucks.
But Kobe did pass his test
Oh.
on delivering babies, so he could have delivered my nephew.
That's
My
true.
nephew, my grandson. Good Lord.
Yeah. Not-
Relationships are hard.
That's why I don't have any.
All
Hey,
right.
wait a minute. Oklahoma produced a really good musical.
Oh, Oklahoma.
Well, it was good till you sung it.
Wow. Harsh.
It's probably true, though. I'm not even going to argue with you about it.
No, please don't make the microphone so close to your face anymore. I was on my side. On my exercise bike, and all of a sudden, Oklahoma came out of my ears.
It's a catchy tune, though.
No,
It is.
Really,
Now
it's
you're
not.
going to be humming it.
no, I'm not.
You are.
No.
So,
Put some Iron Maiden on.
there you go. Okay, I was going to allude to our case, but I'm not going to yet. Because next week, in honor of Halloween, I just want to talk about some of our favorite scary stories. And then in 2 weeks, we will talk about our case.
When you say scary stories, you mean paranormal scary stories, or
I mean,
things that actually really scared me?
we could go either way.
Okay,
Oh, God.
I thought maybe paranormal experiences would be a good place to
that's
start.
probably the way to do it
Yeah.
on this show. Yeah.
Darn it.
If you've got some crazy, scary experiences you'd like to share with us, please do so. You can do that on Facebook and Twitter at Seeking the Paranormal. or you can email us at s.e.e.paranormal@gmail.com.
The Facebook.
Or go on the Facebook. Anything else?
No, we're trying to keep them shorter.
We are.
Nope.
We're working on
Sorry.
it. Thank you for your patience with us.
Yeah, we've been boring the crap out of you the last couple of weeks. So.
But again, we appreciate everybody listening, so thank you for doing so. If you want to find out what John's up to, you can catch him on the Facebook at WTF Investigations. It's also their website, WTFinvestigations.com. And you're not on any other
No, I don't have time.
platforms.
I don't even like social media, to be honest with you. It just brings me down.
Well, you can find me on the Facebook at C Paranormal Sarah. It's S-E-E Paranormal Sarah with an H. And you can find the three of us again on the Facebook and the Twitter at Seeking the Paranormal.
And you can't find me anywhere. So,
Although you're on
I have a
Instagram
certain
now,
set
right?
of skills. I will find you.
that's right. I can't even say it now. I was going to do my best Liam Neeson, and I can't.
Now you
He's
got
Irish.
to.
He's Irish.
No, I
He'll
can't.
be like, fuck off, we're making bombs.
Okay.
All right. Well, we
Cut this off. Edit.
tried.
Edit.
All right, friends. Have a great rest of your week. I can't even talk. Have a great rest of your week and keep seeking the paranormal.